I don't know.
I don't know.
Why not?
All right. Good evening, everyone. The regular meeting of July 7th will come to order at 5:32. John, would you please call the roll?
Curry,
Here.
Adel,
Here.
Anderson, Avedisian,
Here.
Pisano,
Here.
Yule,
Here.
Bush,
Here.
Desai,
Here.
DeBella,
Here.
Drake,
Here.
Gale,
Here.
Ardo,
Here.
Gentile,
Here.
Healy, Hoffman,
Here.
Oheb, Holloway,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
LaChance, Lester,
Here.
Lewis,
Here.
Magnan,
Here.
Van Dyke,
Here.
Maniscalco, Payne,
Here.
Patel, Salemi, Stuber.
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Torini,
Here.
Torres,
Here.
Wolf,
Here.
Carrier. We have a quorum.
Thank you, John. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
of America. To the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. for all.
Next, approval of meeting minutes of June 2nd, 2025. Chair will entertain a motion.
Adoption.
Second.
Discussion, changes, additions, deletions? All in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? Motion carries. Next is public comments relative to agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on an agenda item? Seeing none, hearing none. Move on to independent consumer advocate comments and questions relative to agenda items. Liz?
I don't have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Report from District Chairman. I have nothing to report other than to hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July weekend. We'll move on to report from the CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very quick because I know we got a long meeting tonight. I just want to remind everyone, we did send out a press release. It's imposter season. And we did have an event on June 25th in Hartford. So we just encourage our customers to make sure that if someone does approach your property and say that they are working for the MDC, they should have a badge, they should have an MDC vehicle. If you are concerned and you please call our command center, which is 860-278-7850 and press 1 to verify that it is an MDC employee. There should be nobody that stops by your house that doesn't have an appointment, that you haven't pre-scheduled. Also, you know, all of our work in North Hartford, as you can imagine, we're very, very busy. Westland Street project area, Garden and Westland intersection, we are going to be having the road completely shut down. There'll be lots of activity there. We encourage people to detour around it. Our website, our construction website, mdcroadclosures.com. Please go to that if you have any concerns, but we will be publishing that in the Inquiring News, Hartford News, and North End papers. So this is going to occur really throughout the July and August. So we encourage you to look for that. Meetings, we've talked about this at Water Bureau. We had a couple of meetings already with the town of Portland. As you know, town of Portland is looking to build their own water infrastructure. Their existing well has PFAS and salt in that. They received a grant. They're proposing to build their own well in a $10 million infrastructure to go along with it to serve their town. We're working with them to try and encourage them to stay with the MDC. They are adamant they want to move on their own. They're looking for a 2-year extension. They have yet to give us actually how much water they want. We're working through that with them, trying to look at what their peaks were. And I've encouraged them that, you know, PFAS is an upcoming chemical that's going to be regulated by EPA in a very short future, in the next 2 years. So we're trying to make sure they understand that if they leave the MDC, you know, the water and sale agreement, the excess water sale agreement will be modified. The diversion permit will be modified, and then it'll be very difficult to get those back in the future. We have had positive conversations with the town of Manchester. Town of Manchester has, we've met with them a couple of times now, and they are looking to replace their well system. Again, they have PFAS in their wells. They're looking to buy up to 2.4 million gallons a day to replace their well system around the JCPenney warehouse area. So we're very encouraged by that. We've been talking a lot about the Bushel South. It's on the agenda tonight. I just encourage our commissioners to support that project. Be very beneficial to the developed area and beneficial for future development here at the MDC. I did send out on July 1 a note regarding the audit, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here. I sent a note on July 1 regarding the deep loan agreements. As you know, the way that the MDC works is our sewer account, our sewer budget is our checking account, and everything goes through our general sewer account. So we pay cash for things, and then our ledgers keep track of where it is supposed to be paid back from, and including our construction activity and our loan and grant programs with DEEP. We started, as you all know, we made a huge commitment to the community, to the state, to the legislature, to EPA, to DEEP, that we would refine our consent order. We would adjust it. We did it in 3 months. The previous consent order took 4 years. We revised it to develop a community benefit. And that community benefit was to remove stormwater and do private property work, which has never been authorized before by the state of Connecticut or EPA. We got 50% grant for that. The commitment we made was we will actually start construction in July of 23. We did that. We achieved, Durham Street was completed 1.5 years early. We need DEEP to do the same, which is to follow through with the loan agreements and the grant agreements, because since July of 23, we've exhausted about $30 million of our cash flow, plus our $51 million change order. And, you know, typically those loan agreements take, you know, a couple of months to get finalized, and we've only gotten back about $5 million so far from July of 23. So this letter was to encourage DEEP to expedite those loan agreements. Otherwise, we have to slow our projects down because of cash flow, not authorizations or allocations, but because of cash flow. And then others have been asking, I know Commissioner Mandake has been asking regarding the North Branch of the Park River study. We're ready to finalize that. As part of this study, we've looked hard at the North Branch of the Park River and the flooding issues. And we are going to actually propose to DEEP and to BPW and the full board. We're proposing to, we were planning to separate the next areas, which is the northern parts of Granby Street, and about 800 homes. And we're actually proposing to do the lower half near Marcus Garvey. That's where most of the flooding actually occurs. The only challenge with that area, and the reason why we didn't do it at first, was because it needs a new outfall. So we're going to propose to build a new outfall and to do about 400 homes in that lower part of Granby. So we've got to have a meeting with DEEP. We need a presentation to BPW, and then we can work through and finalize the report. So we'll be able to get that report out hopefully by the end of this month. And then I would like to say I had staff, Kelly, Jimbo, and Cindy and Morgan, very appreciative of the nice comments, especially from Commissioner Curry, Vice Chairman Hoffman, Avedizian, and Patel about, you know, the kind words they said about the audit. And remember, I sent an email out on June 16th, and a completely clean audit. And the Commissioner Hoffman we've been talking about this for the last 10 years. No findings of material weakness. We haven't had any material weaknesses in the last 4 years. This was a completely clean audit, no deficiencies, great job by Kelly and her staff with no CFO and no comptroller. The auditors, their main client in an audit is the comptroller, the manager of accounting. And we had none. We had no CFO. With Kelly's leadership and her staff, did a tremendous job in getting this. It's a great tribute to the staff. I think the comments from the chair and the vice chair was, just a credit to the staff for being able to do this on their own. So thank you very much, and we appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you. And with that, I'll leave the rest of it to the climate survey. Okay.
Any questions? Mr. Gale?
Yeah, thank you. One question, Scott. With respect to the change in the Granby Street area where instead of doing the northern section, you're thinking about doing the southern, is that change been communicated to the city and to the
No.
neighborhoods?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yes, the change has been communicated with the city staff, Commissioner Wolf, and obviously the mayor's office and the technical staff. It is literally nothing in writing. We agreed to agree that that's the best location based on the study to attack. There may be some areas in that original area that we can, we call it 7, 8, and 9, the northern part. There might be some quick win separation areas, but the biggest challenge for that northern part is that existing infrastructure, that existing 108-inch outfall. We don't believe it's got the capacity it needs to handle that separation. So that's a bigger project, bigger discussion. But the area that we're talking about, the lower half, is really, if you've seen the pictures of the gentleman wading through, waist deep water.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm good with all
Yeah.
that. I'm just
The city is
interested in
aware.
making sure we have communication.
Yes, we
And-
have, yes.
Last thing we need is a bunch of neighbors saying, "What? You never told us you're
We've
changing
got
something."
there's a whole outreach that needs to go with this.
Okay,
But
good.
we just want everybody at the board level to understand that we're going to finalize this North Branch of the Park River study, and we want everyone to be aware of what it's going to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Commissioner Gale, I would just comment that, and your concern is well founded, but you're probably aware, as most of Hartford commissioners, if not all, that communications between the city and MDC have improved greatly with your current mayor and his administration, and we're extremely grateful for that.
Commissioner Wolf sitting right there.
There he is.
Direct line of communication.
I didn't see you. Came in late.
I know, he leans back, you can't see him, he used to sit down there and you could keep an eye on him, but that's all right.
And on the city side, I would say the city is very appreciative of the communication from the MDC, from at least my perspective, and I'm sure Commissioner Wolf would share that.
If I may, yes, we certainly are appreciative. The communication's been great. Scott and the staff on the, from a city perspective, the conversations have been very productive, and we're happy to move forward in this direction. So thank you to you and the team.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Van Dyke.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Mandyke, Scott, can you just tell me, so if it looks like we're kind of to the point where the study will be completed and ready for all of us to see, how will that work? Will there be a presentation through Public Works? Will that be a presentation to the entire board? When should we anticipate, so I don't keep poking you about when that presentation will be?
As soon as the report is finalized, happy to share it with everyone, and then for sure we will present at BPW, and the next BPW meeting is 2 months from now. So we could actually do a presentation if the chair of BPW and the chairman Curry wanted to present that at the full board. It's up to however you'd like to present it. But as soon as the report's finalized, we'll happy to give it to everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Move on to report from District Council.
I have a few things on the agenda tonight, Mr. Chairman. You'll all here. Enough of me, so I don't have any formal report. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions of district council? Seeing none, we'll move on to our report by Amazing Workplace on the employee climate survey and the action plans. And I'm not going to be accepting any questions from the committee until the presentation is completed. So if you have a question along the way, make a note because chances are that your question is going to be answered if you just let the report continue to conclusion. So who do we have up?
Yes, this is Eli Justman. Hello, Mr. Chairman. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
good evening.
Loud and clear? You can hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, Eli Justman here from Amazing Workplace along with Mackenzie Noble. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, members of the commission, to the public, and to all employees who may be coming along watching. It's great to be here as always. Let me get my slide up, and that will help guide me along the way here. Share this. Oh, I don't have permission to share, Mr. Chairman. Is there somebody who can grant me access?
Try again, Eli. I just gave you permission.
Excellent. And this one. All right. Now I won't be able to see you all on the screen because I've got everything covered up here with my presentation. And just somebody to confirm, you can see my presentation on screen with the MDC logo?
Yes.
All right. So,
okay, but wait. Can you see me or I can't see you?
I can't see you, but I see your name.
Oh.
All right, go ahead, Eli.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Okay. So I hope you all know us by now. We're Amazing Workplace. We're the vendor, the outfit that has helped MDC with this new step and the commitment to supporting the employees at your organization. And in doing that, we conducted our employee happiness survey at the end of 2024. And what we're focused on now, since we've done a lot of work and we reported back to you when we were looking at the results, what we are focused on now is our key recommendations and looking at the actions that have been going on inside MDC as we're rolling out all the things that need to be addressed from the results of the survey. So we conducted an analysis of the results, both across the feelings type questions that we have in there that gauge how people are feeling about particular topics, as well as the yes or no questions that help kind of zoom in on what's a particular reason that somebody might feel good or not good about a particular issue, and drilling down into the written comments and the trends we see in the written comments and the things that employees and folks throughout the organization were speaking to specifically. And we came up with a set of recommendations, as well as detailed actions that kind of go below those. We've been working with MDC leadership and HR for many months. As you know, you've seen us around. I want to thank MDC leadership for their incredible work so far, and the MDC staff that have helped out with this and done an immense amount of work on this, and in different departments and different groups throughout the organization. We've seen a really, really good commitment to action. I mean, we see varied results from organizations, particularly organizations that are sort of large and complex and have a lot of moving parts, and it can be difficult to get the ball rolling on changes. And the work that this group has done has been really, really impressive. So I'm going to address the recommendations and what we've seen in the actions working with MDC so far. And the actions that are actually happening are more than I can even cover in this presentation. But I know in the record there's some specific actions listed out. There's detailed documents about what different groups within the organization are doing in more specifics than I'll be able to address. And of course, those things are generated by staff and leaders inside MDC, and they have, you know, better connection and visibility to things than myself as a consultant, as an outside party does. So please take a look at those documents. They're in the record. I know you'll be able to download them and have a look if you are more interested in the detail. So I'm going to turn to 8 key recommendations, or sort of sets of recommendations from Amazing Workplace. These are like the most compelling opportunities and really do a great job at going after the areas that employees were bringing to the surface. And following each recommendation, I'll just summarize the actions that we've seen underway at MDC that fit within that umbrella. And I'll just sort of run through all of those, and then we'll have time for questions. Anything before I get started? Okie dokie. So, pardon me. The first key recommendation we had relates to respect. It's really important to address the concerns of about 35% of the responding participants in the organization who don't always feel respected at work. That's not a number you want to have. And respect is
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Eli, do you have, you're not clicking on the slides. We just have the slide view. Can you go to presentation view?
Oh, that's so funny. It shows right for me. My mistake. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
All right. So we should. Is this the slide now?
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So our first key recommendation is in the area of respect. Like I said, 35% of folks responding don't always feel respected at work, and respect is a bedrock for a healthy, thriving workplace. So looking into this, we recommended a organization-wide focus on respect, sort of an initiative. Promoting respect as a critical workplace value, placing it on a high level with the other highest level foundational things we all expect when we go to work. So one of the things we did is to look at adapting some materials and approaches developed by an organization called the Virginia Mason Institute. They actually work in healthcare, but they have some useful resources. And we also have been working with the team to look at other resources to help promote respect as a value and provide opportunities for people to learn about how they can show respect and recognize respect and bring it into our regular workday practice. Focusing also on leading by example, so that people in leadership positions are speaking to respect. They hear that, so that people hear that it's an issue, and that people in leadership positions are demonstrating respect in the way they act, all the way up the chain, all the way down the chain. And placing respect on an equal footing with safety and importance and value was kind of one of the key recognitions that we had as we were going through this process. So safety is so important in your work, in any workplace, but in your workplace, a lot of folks can really understand that connection of, well, I know safety is important. It keeps we can't do any work without safety. Well, respect is sort of similar. You sort of can't do any work without respect at a certain point. So that's what we emphasized. So that's this recommendation. And then turning to the things that MDC has been working on this key recommendation. Introducing respect elements in meetings across the organization. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about how meetings, some initiatives going on around meetings and how they're used to communicate. But throughout the organization, introducing respect elements, going through the ways that people can recognize and demonstrate respect, how it works, and just surfacing it as a topic for people to show that leaders care about it and to get everybody involved in promoting respect in the workplace. Adding opportunities to discuss and train on it. So making sure that as we're having maybe learning opportunities or trainings or things like that, that respect has space in that, and supporting it through better communication. Pardon me. That managers are tasked with promoting respect. I talked a little bit about that, but in their actions, if you look at some of the actions, the detailed actions that are in the record, managers are bringing that respect element into what they're doing. And one thing that's already rolled out is back in May, MDC conducted a leadership and communication training for all managers and supervisors, and it had elements related to respect and good communication that tie in really well. So these are really good steps toward what we would want to see to turn around those numbers on the issue of feeling like you're shown respect at work and that people are mutually exchanging respect at work. Going on to key recommendation number 2, we recommend that we're creating a manager practice where there's lots of opportunities for direct communication with staff, because that can be a little uneven. So in some teams, folks were reporting that managers don't make the time or have the time to check in with them and make a connection when they need support, when they need guidance, they need to clear up an issue that's not always available to them. So we suggest setting an expectation for managers and leaders to provide more avenues for that, asking leaders, supervisors, or managers to provide these opportunities in a way that works best for their particular setting. Because if you're in the office, if you're in the administrative, one of the administrative teams, it may be easy to put a calendar item up and go and meet once a week or something and check in with folks, and that's great. But that's not always true if you're out in operations or you're working in a completely different kind of setting and you have you have diverse settings in your organization. So just tasking managers with finding a way to do that through daily touch points or weekly meetings or during set office hours or scheduling appointments or just dropping in to visit people when they're working. If nothing else, just making time to see people when you do have that regular meeting that could be as infrequent as monthly, and checking and seeing how people are doing. And then making sure everybody knows that this is something the organization wants to promote, so that people don't ever feel that detached from the manager who can support them, help them resolve their day-to-day, week-to-week issues. So that's our recommendation. MDC has started this initiative directing managers to provide these opportunities in some kind of one-on-one or other face-to-face meetings. When we look, like I said, toward the CAO side, to the administrative side, that's already kind of in their plan as far as providing one-on-one meetings for the most part. And then when we look over to the COO side, that comes in the way of providing more opportunities that may or may not be one-on-one or set, but they're opportunities for people to reach their manager and get support when they need it. Moving on to the next recommendation. Pardon me. Communication is a big one. 81% of employees at MDC are looking for improved communication. That's really, the leadership has to kind of lead the charge on improving communication. And we are recommending anticipating communication needed when significant changes are coming. So that means providing regular, understandable updates as things are coming down the pike. Following standards for readability and simplicity is something that I urge, and that's always an ongoing thing, is to make sure that whatever it is, whether we're delivering a message in front of people or we're sharing something, in writing, that it's understandable to people, and delivering information in more than one way as necessary, messages, live talks, posting it up somewhere, and sometimes additionally through supervisors at their staff meetings, in addition to some other method. So what we've seen MDC doing on this front, first of all, again, the leadership communication training for managers and supervisors, something that's important, and I would suggest, making that an ongoing, recurring thing at some point, bringing that back to make sure that the leadership core is kept up to date on good communication practices. MDC HR is doing an employee newsletter, and the CEO is providing regular updates, and we're making sure that those things are staying on a cadence so that they don't, miss a month. MDC groups are offering new opportunities for live meetings, daily touch points, and learning sessions. And then to address some of the items around coordination between different groups and similar kinds of issues, there's these need to know meetings that the CEO and CAO groups will have that will help bring information across different groups and get people up all into the same level about how something works. There's also message boards are going to be updated to provide relevant information where people are more likely to see it. Excuse me. And managers and executives are coordinating ways to improve communication between departments, as I said, with the need to know meetings and in other ways that you can see some of that detail in the detailed plans. So this is a good work on this recommendation point here. Recommendation number 4 was to find opportunities around balance. So in our survey results, we saw about 34% of people responding they didn't feel like they necessarily had enough time to get work done. And then almost 30%, 29% said that they had trouble balancing work with their personal life needs. So we recommended developing as many options for flexibility in scheduling or opportunities to kind of create sort of alternatives in scheduling as are possible within the part of the organization we're talking about. It's important to recognize that this is a complex organization with different types of workers, different types of scheduling, and of course, we have the element of, the way hours are set up is something that involves unions and stakeholders kind of around the organization. So there's a lot going on here. But we're saying stay open to suggestions, considering new suggestions on work flexibility, giving employees continuing opportunities to give feedback on the flexibility they would like to see. Again, you're going to have to be doing this in collaboration with the different stakeholder groups that are at the table when you talk about hours and schedules. Continue to work with staff, managers, leaders to find consensus. Identify scheduling improvements for smaller groups. Certain facilities and shifts can, have maybe changes in the way hours are set up or the way schedules are set up. And then, of course, there's opportunities for remote or certain kinds of flexible hours in certain teams. So that gets me to what MDC has been working on. So MDC leadership has been pursuing options, kind of discussing things like 4-day work weeks, summer hours, flexible hours to make up time, meeting free days, those things. It's going to take some time to get some of those things rolling or to find the right solution that's going to fit. COO groups are working on those issues because they're, the groups on their side are going to have more particular needs. And the CAO groups have rolled out some alternate and flexible work schedules as well as a work from home pilot program. Going on to our key recommendation number 5, this was based on employees feeling like they're not seeing their managers sometimes, and this would just happen sporadically throughout the organization, reporting not seeing their manager or senior manager, feeling like they're kind of distant from the line work. So we recommend setting expectation for leaders to show up kind of regularly in the workspaces. And when I say regularly, finding those opportunities so that they become a regular presence where people actually are. We recommended staff-led shadowing. That's something that takes some time to get going, but having leaders go through a shift of typical work with an experienced guide from their teams or doing the training programs that their teams are doing to stay up on what it is that the teams are actually doing. And just generally increasing curiosity about the daily experiences of line employees and what the work actually looks like. This was really driven by particular comments as well as general feeling that some staff expressed that they didn't see their managers where they work very often. So on MDC's side, COO and CAO groups are increasing those face-to-face opportunities, and there's a lot of things in there that kind of bring managers into more regular contact with everybody. The CAO has been setting aside communicating open office hours. The CEO, Scott, has been implementing meetings for staff. And some groups are working on that shadowing and training for managers aspect. That's going to take a little time to stand up. The next recommendation, number 6, that has to do with recognition and appreciation. So it was a fairly common report that employees would not feel recognized or appreciated all the time when they would expect it or when they would want it. So working on setting an expectation for managers that, manager, you're a supervisor, you're a lead, it's part of your job to show that appreciation and recognition, and we want to make sure we're supporting that. So it's just, that's a message and an expectation. Focusing on team wins and kind of that recognizing groups for their achievements week to week, or responding to a difficult, challenging situations or conditions or big projects. Developing and improving formal recognition programs, and making sure they feel relevant and significant to people, rather than, something that's just a hat tip or, just formulaic. Discussing when we're talking about working with managers, and when you're in leadership meetings and manager meetings, discussing the importance of recognizing good work. That ties to that setting an expectation I was talking about. And ensuring that all teams and kinds of workers get recognized and appreciated. This can be a situation where, especially in a large organization, a lot of different departments, a lot of different kinds of work, certain kinds of workers may not feel like they're recognized the same way others are. And that can have negative impacts. So I want to make sure these things get spread out throughout the organization. So we've seen on the MDC side, the CEO and HR implementing recognition for years of service throughout MDC, and some more robust recognition programs and new recognition initiatives that they're developing as far as what people will actually receive. Supervisors and managers are building in recognition and appreciation into these meetings that I've been talking about, these increased regular meetings that will have an agenda and some rigor to them, some things that they go through every time. So they'll be building in recognition and appreciation into those meetings and recognize how the great work that people have been doing. And then, of course, we had the manager and supervisor training in May 2025, and that's also going to support that understanding of the importance of recognition and appreciation. Our key recommendation 7, we recommend finding ways to set and seek goals for teams, and then tying that to kind of a team spirit, motivating teams to feel like they're the best at what they do. This can come from setting out goals for teams, checking back in on those goals, and recognizing them for achieving those goals when we're in that face-to-face setting. So it does involve measuring, giving your teams insights into how we are doing, that maybe things that the teams weren't always aware of, as far as how close are we to meeting our goals, what progress have we made, and kind of setting that as a rah-rah opportunity, kind of treating it like a coach trying to make state. That helps drive teams to cooperatively do something that they can all be proud of, and it improves the connection within the team, which we think is really important. Leveraging that competitive spirit, maybe putting some fun in there. Those are things we recommend. We turn to what MDC has been working on. We've got some of these aspects covered in here. Of course, we've got the Respect Initiative that they've been working on, highlighting how maintaining respect drives team success. But also these regular meetings we were talking about are going to include team goal progress, focus on constant improvement for both teams and individuals. So we're supporting individuals better. We're keeping teams up to date better. We're talking about the goals that we have as a team. One-on-one meetings, to the extent that they are available, they're going to focus on professional growth. How can we help people grow into new roles or toward promotion? Additional training opportunities so that people feel like they also are improving their own performance individually toward, maybe meeting a new goal for their career. and standard operating procedures around the organization to help, that will help clarify goals that might be relevant to people so that they're aware of that. Key recommendation number 8 is to lean on meaning. When we say meaning, we mean kind of the mission of the organization, the spirit of the organization, the importance of public service in the case of MDC, because you do serve your community. Recommending that leaders, supervisors, managers, when we are trying to get people, sort of pumped up about what it is we're trying to do, that we're always tying in that mission, MDC's mission. And so when we're meeting goals, we're talking about how we've fulfilled the mission of the organization, how we're supporting our community, and not forgetting that. Making the organization's core values real and showing how they tie into, say, decision-making or day-to-day things we're doing. And yes, helping all employees see how their work drives these things. And looking at what MDC has going inside the organization so far, the CEO meetings that we're going to have will tie into some of those factors of the overall strategic vision of the organization, the goals for the organization, and helping people see how their work affects the community. The increased focus on recognition is going to provide that opportunity for supervisors and managers to highlight that the public good that folks are doing. Enhanced onboarding is something that's rolling out in the actions that we've been reviewing. And that's going to help employees deepen their familiarity with what exactly MDC does, so that everybody is kind of aware of how significant the work of the organization is. And likewise, tours, that is something that the organization is working on planning, employee tours to help employees see all the different things that MDC does to serve the community. Some additional important actions that were not tied to our 8 key recommendations, but they're good actions that we've been tracking through the process in the area of the topic of what we call growth. So individual employees feeling like their careers are moving ahead, creating wider opportunities for promotion through new training programs, rotations. There's a couple new initiatives in there about folks being able to have rotations to develop their careers. Growth-driven performance evaluations, making sure that those performance evaluations are aimed at promoting individual growth, and a focus on clear and known criteria for promotion, which those are things that exist. And so just making sure that those things are understandable, communicated to folks so they know what targets they're making to reach promotion. Empowerment, continuing development of standard operating procedures. So that's something that's ongoing and in those actions. Systems training, cross-functional training, and improved methods of coordination. That addresses some of the things we saw in the survey with folks not always feeling empowered to do their job, bringing up things like job-specific training or job-specific guidance that would sometimes be frustrating, or not being fully coordinated across groups. Looking at balance, looking organization-wide effort to support all groups in planning, filling and developing staffing where it's needed most. There's various initiatives underway to really understand where the opportunities are to provide staffing and to never take the eyes off where do we need something filled, not letting it go until that gets filled appropriately. And then enjoyment opportunities, just folks feeling like they really enjoy the fun and enjoyment aspect of work. Opportunities for connection, like learning lunches, annual breakfast, and activities like that. And that is the presentation on the 8 recommendations, the 8 key recommendations. And I'm happy to engage in dialogue, talk about next things.
He's not. I'm going to have him speak. Okay. If I may, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And I should have mentioned earlier, and I apologize, but this is a 2-part presentation before we have questions, and I would ask all questions be directed through the chair. But we've heard from Amazing Workplace. Now we're going to hear from Scott Jellison to talk about the process he used in dealing with the recommendations from Amazing Workplace, the meetings, further identifying the issues of concern, and developing corrective action as needed that would be satisfactory to all parties involved. So, Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like first, Eli, I want to just switch over to Paul Mashenko. Paul Mashenko's on the line. Paul, Eli referred to the respect and the training, and everyone, most of you remember Paul was here and gave a presentation to the board. Because we liked his presentation so much, and the number one recommendation from Eli was training on respect with supervisors and managers. I asked Paul to just give us like 5 minutes. We're going to bring Paul back for a full presentation of the training next month. But Paul, if you got 5 minutes, he's got to leave at 6:30.
Thanks, Scott. Well, you know, it was apparent to me that Eli and I probably should have coordinated ahead of time, because we could have really put on a dog and pony show here. First of all, we were back there. I was in your beautiful facilities back May 20th and 21st, and we took 4 groups of leaders at all levels through our curriculum called My Legacy Leadership, which is a portfolio of different leadership topics. And the key focus areas, we only had about 3 hours with each group. And so the key focus areas that we worked on were, number one, what are those changing responsibilities that leaders should be prepared for as they go up the ladder into different levels of responsibility as leaders within the organization. And we really focused on the first thing being the combination of skills, knowledge, and attitudes that are traditionally most responsible for leaders being more or less effective. And when we really drilled down to that, we spent a lot of time talking about the importance of attitude. And I think most of you would acknowledge that even the most skillful, knowledgeable leader without the right attitude is not going to be very effective. And so what we really talked about was helping everybody understand that critical role that cultivating the right attitudes actually plays in being an effective leader. And that then cascaded down to, well, what the heck do I do with my attitudes? I mean, it's kind of something I'm born with, right? And based in neuroscience, the answer is no. And one of the things that we really talked about was the role that language plays. How do I talk to not only myself, because that kind of reinforces my own story about my situation, but how do I talk to the people around me? How do I talk to my subordinates and other leaders? Because language will do one of two things. It will either perpetuate more of the same, or it will predict something different. So we really challenged everybody in these workshops to be more present and more mindful of the way they talk, and asking themselves, is the way I'm talking really going to trigger the right attitudes and the right emotions in the people around me? And so hopefully you'll continue to see improvement in that. That took us to the second part, and Eli did such a great job of kind of queuing me up for this, is really focusing on respect. And our approach to talking about respect is what I would call a non-kumbaya approach. We didn't make anybody hug it out or do blind trust falls or anything like that. What we really talked about was, what is the business case for respect? Why is it so important? And we talked about how it affects everything from not only our productivity and our ability to collaborate and team effectively with other people, but even our own physical health and well-being. And I think when we tied it back to those tangible outcomes, people started paying a little bit more attention to it. Important in that discussion was the notion that respect is an active process. You can't just show up and say, I'm respectful, take my word for it. And it is not demonstrated by simply not being disrespectful. You actually have to do things to demonstrate to other people, to convey to them a sense of worth and value, which is really the outcome that we're looking for. I want people around me, if I'm being a respectful leader or manager, to feel valued for what me as an individual, but also valued for what I bring to the organization. And Eli was reading my mind on this too. We focus on that being driven from curiosity. If I can bring a sense of curiosity into my interactions with people and actually use it to ask questions that help me better understand not only them and their situation, but their perspectives, that opens up just an absolute wealth of possibilities for not only strengthening relationships with people, but also learning things that are important for us to work together more effectively. We then drilled down and talked about specific behaviors. What does respect actually look like in your environment? And what are the emotions when we actually practice and become good at practicing respect? What emotions does that trigger? And how does that emotional disposition, especially if we can spread it across the group, how does that positively affect business outcomes and business behaviors? But we also talked about what disrespect does, how being exposed to a continuously disrespectful workplace environment is actually toxic to us. It's like being in an abusive relationship. And if for no other reason than our own physical health being at stake, we challenged everybody to actually focus on trying to bring with them a better collection of respectful behaviors and really displacing the negative, disrespectful behaviors that might sometimes be present. But in order to wrap that up, what we did is we wanted to make sure that everybody had at least somewhat of a toolkit for doing this. And that means a toolkit for not only knowing and looking for opportunities to proactively practice respect, but what do I do if I think I've been treated with disrespect? And so we talked about things to do and don't do. And one of the things that, and this goes back to curiosity, is even if I feel that I've been treated with disrespect, and how to handle that conversation productively with somebody, to always leave the door open that maybe I had something to do with that on the front end. And leaving kind of challenging people to keep our kind of suspend judgment and always look at behaviors, including our own, with a sense of curiosity. We wrapped up, and with each of the sessions, we went around and gave everybody an opportunity to share the things that they were taking away from our time together. And one of the first things that came out as an outcome was people were just glad to be in a learning environment. And I know, again, Eli said earlier, let's not make this a one and done. Let's commit to making leadership training an ongoing process, something that facilitates all of us being part of a learning organization. So, how'd I do in time?
Great.
Thank you.
That was it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Paul.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm going to quickly run through this. And Eli, as he's been referring to documents, so just in talking through the process, obviously everything that we've done is really reaction to working with Amazing Workplace. They've developed these action plans, and we've actually gone beyond that. We've taken those action plans in a very general sense and turned them into a real action plan with more specifics as it relates to the MDC and by every department. So in your open text, you have a couple of 3 documents. You have the Climate Study Action Plan for all departments. And this document is really, it takes Amazing Workplace's action plans and gets very specific. A lot of the things Eli mentioned, you'll see in this document. So this is a general document for every department, not independent of the department. The other document, one of the concerns that I think some commissioners and even staff had identified is the concern was, okay, how is, if I were able to provide a very specific comment about a very specific issue in the narrative portion of the survey, how am I going to know that that information is going to be reviewed by Amazing Workplace? And how do I even know if it's going to come out within these documents? What Eli mentioned at the last presentation, and he could talk about it again today, is they don't they don't provide the very specific comment. They look at the core issue of what's creating the comment and the commonalities of other comments. And so to make sure that we captured everything from the employees, I personally met 22 times 10 times, 10 meetings with all of the employees, another set of 10 meetings with all the employees, and they gave me comments on, and it was just myself and I had Carrie Blotto with me, with no other managers, no supervisors, no HR. And I wanted to hear from the employees to make sure that if there was a specific comment, a lot of the people were concerned that they didn't want their comment exposed because they were afraid of retribution. So I wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to tell me personally if, whatever their issues might be. And so another document you'll see by department, every issue that was raised at these meetings, these 22 meetings with staff, I actually had probably at least 15 individual meetings. Employees came to me and said, "Can I meet with you, Scott?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I met with them. It might be a very specific issue that they wanted to talk to me about. But every item, every issue that got raised in these meetings is on these documents. And then we're modifying that document to really, there's another document that talks specific to the department. So every department has its own issues. And the point is, and what I want to be able to say today, and I can say today, is all of these documents have been given to the employees. I wanted the employees, after my first meeting, I met with them on a second meeting, and I said, here's the documents. Here's what you told me. Here's what you raised as an issue, independent of what was raised with Eli through Amazing Workplace. And I said to employees, if there's something that's not here, that Amazing Workplace didn't address, it was too general, or we didn't address, it was too general, tell me, and I will make sure it gets put on here. And I had Jamie Harlow actually send out emails to the employees to remind them twice. And we did get a few comments that they had some further recommendations on certain things. But the important point is that I personally talked to the employees, and everything that they have raised, either in the survey or to me, is in all three of these documents. And so now our goal is to actually take all this information with the help of Amazing Workplace and actually create action plans that are usable, and we can replicate them. So that's a really important part of this process. And I would tell you that when we talk about managers, we use that generic term, but remember, we have 3 unions, and one of the unions is our 1026 supervisory union. So we rolled 1026 into the training because they are part of management in the sense they are managers, even though they're union managers. So we want to make sure that everybody is working together. There's a lot of things in these documents that you can see. There's a lot of things that we can do. And Eli mentioned this in his first presentation. There's some things we can achieve, and there's some things we can't. And certain things we can't. And I'll give you an example. There's you have 184, our labor group is very, wants a 4-day work week, wants a summer hours. And we try to support that. But the challenge is I have another union called 1026, which is a supervisory union. And they're not just part of management, but they're also a union. So I have to negotiate I can't just force 1026 to take a 4-day work week. So we have to work together to solve some of these other issues that are not easily solvable through the recommendations from Amazing Workplace. So we put there's a lot of people with a lot of hours. We probably got 1,500 hours into this process. We're working hard to work with the unions and the staff to make sure we can try to achieve what's achievable. And that's a very important distinction. There's things you can't achieve. There's some things you just can't solve. But the things we can solve, we're working hard to do that. So I leave that there. And if Mr. Chairman.
Open it up to questions.
Commissioner Drake. I read through all your sheets, which is a lot there. Is this something you can maintain? Is it almost too much? Is this something you can maintain on a yearly basis? Do all the stuff you want to do? Maybe
You know,
2 years or something? I mean, I just don't know if you want to do this all the time. you know?
well, I tell you, there's a lot of great recommendations in these documents, right? And we can always be better, always be better. And so, you know, it's been a lot of work to put this together, but as we move forward, this should become very easy and simple. And I use an example of, we use Paul as a great example of respect. He provided this to you. He's got 12 steps of showing respect. And, you know, when Eli talked about meetings, we're going to have a very generic agenda for every meeting. And it's going to have very specific items on it, like the 12 steps of respect, and expecting the managers to follow a very baseline agenda to include certain things that need to know, very important. You know, one of the biggest issues I first heard was, it wasn't about employees versus management. It was about customer service, command center, utility services, and treasury. And they're the people who get the phone call from the irate customer. And you got 4 departments that are not in synergy. They're not working closer together the way they should. And that's management's problem. That's our job to fix, right? So those need to know meetings, what does that mean? That means get the people that are actually doing the work in the room, in the meeting, not just with management, not just with leadership, but get the staff that actually has to do the work in that meeting so they can explain, here's what I need to do my job. And our job as management is to give staff the tools necessary to do their job. So it's all positive, Commissioner. It's a positive process.
This member Vargas, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question is for Eli. These recommendations that you've come up with, has there been a reaction from the staff as to how they feel about these recommendations?
Eli?
Yes. Well, Commissioner Vargas, I am not in direct communication with the staff. My job is to provide the first step, the first thing we did, which was we did meet with them in person to familiarize them with who we are and what we do. And then we provided the anonymous survey instrument, right? And so at that point, I don't even know who it is. And then after that, every time I've been around, it's pretty much when you see me, except to the extent that I'm working with the leadership and HR in crafting the recommendations. So I'm probably not the best person to answer how staff seems to be reacting to the recommendations.
Perhaps that's a better question for Scott. Scott, have you gotten any feedback as to those recommendations that were made by Eli?
Yes, Commissioner. So as I mentioned, if you look at the document that's in your open text, and it says climate study meeting feedback and action plans by department. This is the meetings that I actually met with staff. It was those 22 meetings where they explained to me what their issues were. What are they looking for? And the action plans, which we provided, there's been several edits over the last number of months, but they got a copy of it as well. So the goal here is to take Eli's action plans and actually put specifics to it, which we have in these 3 documents, which will answer the core issues of the employees' issues on that they've identified in the survey and to me. So they've been very, we actually have taken, if you look at the action plan by all departments, perfect example, we've already started need to know meetings. We've already actually implemented the work-life balance was a major issue. We've already started flexible hours. We've already started work from home. The board approved work from home for E&Es in 2015, but we haven't implemented it. We started to implement it as an early action plan item. There's certain work from homes. We've agreed, when we negotiated with 3713, which is our technical union, we included in the 2022 agreements that we could work from home. We've already exercised that a few times during snow events with customer service, for example. We've actually implemented a work from home for customer service, which is 3713, 1 day a week. So we're implementing these things. We've done a lot very quickly based on the things that we've heard.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? If not, thank you, Eli. Thank you, Scott. And I just
Thank
like
you.
to say, I think thanks go to the PPI committee for doing their due diligence and making a recommendation that Amazing Workplace be the one who would do the climate study for MDC. And I think in general, most of us were pleasantly surprised by the outcome. So thank you, Eli. Move on now to number 11, Committee on Organization, Consideration and Potential Action, Appointment of Director of Finance, Chief Financial Officer, possible executive session. Yeah. Chris, we need executive session. All right, well then why don't we move into executive session? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Chris, who do we need to?
Jamie, Kelly, Scott.
Even what the Democrat.
I think that's it. Myself. Just for the we're still on the record, right, John?
Yep.
Just for the record, the executive session involves the hiring of a new CFO, and it's eligible for executive session of the FOID.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't planning on that.
Done.
I got out of a couple.
Does he want the candidate?
Hmm?
Does he want the candidate here?
Yes.
Commissioners, this is John Myrtle. Are there any commissioners that are on the WebEx via phone number? I see everyone else that has logged in on your WebEx account, but is there a commissioner that's called in on a phone line?
The bill, they're able to even influence elections this way. It does harken to the.
I'm going to pull the commissioners that are online into a separate breakout room.
They diagnosed it, we had to operate right. It's like a burst of mandates. You could get. Okay. Jonathan, why don't you come on up, and Jamie and Kelly, if you grab a empty seat.
Number one surgeon.
He's familiar, but I can't place the case.
I figured I'll probably have to. I'm going to take a quick break. Let's take over.
Well, these things. Closing it.
was the
How many
budget
longer?
meeting, and it was in December, and we went here till 12 o'clock.
You got kids?
at night.
Sorry?
Okay. That's why you so. That's why. That's the.
And then he
Chair will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. We're now back in regular session.
We are.
Consideration potential action, appointment of a CFO. Chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
So moved.
Second. Carl. Yeah, this chair. Yes,
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Jonathan.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Text your mayor. Okay, we'll move on now to number 12. Report from CAO on the 2024 unassigned fund balance. What is it? Look at that. Kelly,
Yes,
are you relieved?
I am so relieved. As a matter of fact, this presentation will be given by Jonathan next year. I'm here to report after having completed the audit and in accordance with the fund balance policy. The district's chief financial officer, and unfortunately you have me instead this year, shall present the most recent completed fiscal year's unassigned fund balance to the district by its September meeting. So we were able to complete the audit early. So I'm coming to you with the unassigned fund balance percentage and the actual percentage of the fund balance. Sorry, I'm just excited because Jonathan's now the CFO and I can step back starting July 28th. Yeah, I know. So we, so I just wanted to report the unassigned fund balance, which is 38.3 million. It's in your ACFR, which is the annual comprehensive financial report. We filed it on 6/25. It was due by 6/30, and that's the auditor filed it with the state. So in our governmental balance sheet, which is page 24 of the ACFR, we show an unassigned fund balance of $38.3 million. And our total revenues of $93.9 million. This is of the government fund. This is the sewer fund. And the statement of revenues and expenditures, as you know, your fund balance policy requires that we maintain a fund balance equal to or between 30 to 35% of the general fund revenues for the most recent completed fiscal year. So I'm happy to report to you that after the completion of the audit, our ratio for that governmental fund is actually at 40.7%, which is a 5.7% surplus over that general fund balance policy, which equates to $5.48 million. So in accordance with the fund balance policy, and as is written in both the transmittal letter, if I know you all received the audit package in the transmittal letter on Roman numeral 4, page 4, we state that the district board will determine the use of the $5.7 million, 5.7% excess, which equates to the $5.48 million, and in past years has applied it to the subsequent year's budget to help lower the ad valorem tax burden of its member towns. We also mentioned that same similar statement in our management discussion and analysis which is on page 7 of the MD&A, which describes the general fund's unassigned fund balance at 40.7%. Also mentions the district's fund balance policy targeting the range between 30 and 35% of those total revenues. And the surplus is determined by the district's Board of Commissioners and in past years has been used to reduce the ad valorem taxes paid by its member towns in the upcoming fiscal year's budget. So twice in the audit, that is mentioned, and it is my responsibility or the CFO's responsibility to report it to you prior to September. So that's what I'm doing, and that's the report. And if you have any questions, you can ask Jonathan, and he'll be happy to answer them for you. No, I'm just kidding. I can answer any questions you have, or try.
Any questions by anyone? Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Right. Without objection, data number 15 under Bureau of Public Works, item B, lease of real estate for fuel cell. We do have a representative here from fuel cell, so what I'd like to do without objection is to move down to 15B.
Objection.
Okay. Under Bureau of Public Works, consideration potential action, lease of real estate for fuel cell, 235 Brainerd Road. Chairman Hoffman, would you like to make a motion for discussion purposes?
Absolutely, move it forward, please.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gale.
Yeah, there was one question that came up earlier tonight, and that was how the 20-year rent payment was determined. Whether we got advice from appraisers, real estate agents, how did we come up with the formula for the 20 years here?
Yeah, if I may. So in our first discussions with fuel cell, this is I'll let them refer to how they come up with this number, but it's basically an industry standard of what they paid and can pay and as part of these programs. But I deferred to Mike Palmer. If you want to just talk about how you come up with those,
Certainly.
the proposed offer.
Yes, thank you for the time. That's, as you mentioned, it's a standard for us when we offer a lease payment for a property. Usually it's done in blocks of 5 years, so it's a flat fee for 5 years, and then there's typically an increase. This one, I believe, is roughly a 5% increase every 5 years. And it's for 20 years because that's based on the incentive or the contract that we have with the local utilities, which is 20 years as well.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Chris?
Chris Stone, you operate other facilities in Connecticut, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Where does this lease payment rate within the other customers you've?
This is on the high end.
And you've had there's other facilities in Hartford?
Yes, there are. There's
yours?
There's 2 of them that are ours, and there's another, I want to say off the top of my head, 8 for a total of, I believe I forgot how many megawatts. It's about 2,000 megawatts worth total in Hartford already operational that are fuel cell.
And how does this rent payment compare to the rent payment for those other facilities that you operate in Hartford?
Those vary because a majority of those are what we call a behind the meter application, meaning that the site they're on is actually using the power and getting it themselves. I'm trying to think of which one in Hartford might not be that. I think most of them all are in behind the meter applications. There are others in the state that are in front of the meter, meaning they're servicing the grid first.
Right.
And again, this payment that we have offered here is higher than, it's the highest one we have offered.
Was the Homestead Avenue site a behind or in
That was the front of the meter.
front of the meter?
And this is a higher payment than that one was.
And this is higher than that?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sure. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
And those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move up now to item 13, report on customer payment portal upgrade. Who we have? Kelly again. All
Yes,
right.
Kelly and Pat. That's right. It's Pat.
Good evening. Again, Kelly Shane, Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm going to be joined by Patrick Hogan, Business Systems Analyst and Project Manager of the Kubra Customer Online Pay Portal Upgrade. And I just want to report that we last presented to the board in March, and I'm happy to report that at that time, we had presented that we were going to be having an upgraded portal and platform for you by mid-July, and it was going to be a completely new portal and a payment app. So both on Android and Apple, our customers are going to be able to download a pay app, just like Eversource, just like any of your other utilities. You're going to be able to have a pay app. And as luck would have it, or I would say great program management by the man sitting behind me, we will have that upgraded portal. It will be happening next weekend. And on Monday morning, so a week from today, our customers will be enjoying a brand new upgraded platform and portal, payment portal. And following that, within a few days, as soon as the Apple and Android store approve the apps, they just have to turn them on and allow us to turn them on. We will have payment apps to download. Patrick's going to go and show you a few slides on the features, but we just wanted to give you an update. And I just want to say how proud I am of Patrick and also the staff. And I want to thank Commissioner Bush for coming in and getting a demo and actually demoing his own commercial accounts to see how the system would work. And we got some great feedback from him. And we're probably too late to incorporate it into our Go Live event next Monday, but we are working with Kubra to take some of your comments and work through those over the next several months. So let me go to the slides. Let me try that. There we go. So just a quick overview from me, the project update from Patrick, which we'll get into some of the features, and then our communication plan to our customers, because I know that's important to you, and our cutover planning for the portal. We worked with our communications department on the planning, and I'm hoping you might have seen the advertising either in a bill insert or on your bill itself. But we just wanted to talk to you about our internal planning and our training and all the things that went into being able to present a new portal to our customers starting on Monday. So overview. If you'll recall, in March, when we came to see you and present, our first phase was going live. A pay by text feature was going live through our Easy Pay. That was the first phase, and we currently have 192 users that are enrolled. And some are making payments. Sometimes they make payments before they get the notification to pay by text, but we do have customers slowly utilizing that feature. But we're meeting our customers where they are, and that's paying by text. That's going to be a mobile app. That's going to be a new look and feel to our website. So the new platform, again, new look and feel, new features with self-service. No longer will our customer service department have to take a third of their calls today are to reset passwords. I know that was one of Commissioner Bush's annoyances with our system. It's not self-service today. Come Monday, it'll be self-service. Patrick will talk about it. We're going to have secure PDF bill option, so you can get your bill as a PDF by email. We don't have that feature today. We only have email notifications, and this will allow someone to actually see their bill by email. And what I'm hoping to do and come to you later is start to have no more paper bills if people would opt for those PDF bills to save money and stop all this paper being sent to our customers. If they can opt in and possibly save money or be charged for a paper bill, we can talk about it later. We completed, as far as this portal goes, we've completed through staff, IT, Patrick, our billing folks, our customer service staff, 4 rounds of integrated testing, as well as our AMS provider, our consultant that works with us on our side, and the Kubra staff. And again, we're going live on schedule. And the mobile app is going to be available within a few days of us going live with the new portal. So I'm going to turn it over to Patrick for the project update.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm going to quickly go through some of the features of this project. One of the nice features of this project is you have the capacity to load multiple properties under a dashboard. So that's the typical standard dashboard will have the capacity to load up to 9. Once you go above 9, it will transfer into a commercial template. And you can load as many as you would like. So that's going to be a good win for our commercial customers that have over 100 properties. We'll say, you know, this site will be able to work well with them. Customers can also deactivate their account. You know, that is something that we had in the old system, but we're hoping that customers start to utilize that a little bit more. But also, you can have a primary contact and also a secondary contact. So a household can have one profile, but multiple people can have contacts based on how they set up their account. Security is big with this project. We want to make sure that everything is safe and secure. So we have multi-factor authentication. And so what is that, right? So this basically would be customers validating their account, and it would be a code that is sent to their email, and they would retrieve that code, and then they can utilize that to get into their dashboard. And it can also be used for resetting your password. So there's no more security questions. There's no more getting locked out of your account and having to call in. This is self-service. It's a code that can be sent to either their phone or to their email to reset their password. And as I go throughout this presentation, I'll be showing some of the billing and payment screens. And some of the main things I want to touch upon is that you do have a lot of work went into notifications for this project. And when I say notifications, that is alerting our customers based on the activity that is either being performed or what we're loading onto their dashboard. So that includes new email templates that we had to work on, but also SMS, meaning a text message that can be pushed out to customers based on their activity that they are performing. And also, I do want to touch base that as part of this project, if customers have self-service and they also use EasyPay is how customers can pay with credit card, debit card. There is a pathway for that is built into the dashboard. So they don't need to go back to the home screen of the MDC to put in their information. They can go directly from their dashboard and pay with a credit card, and that amount will follow. So now I'm going to actually take you in the life of the journey of a customer. Once we go live on Monday, this is going to be the new landing page. As you can see from the landing page, there's quick links. There's also latest news and information. That's self-service for us. So as we come up with new billing inserts, we can put that right into this new landing page. And obviously it's branded to MDC. That is our gatehouse in the picture behind. So we're hoping that the customers are liking the new look and feel. But come Monday, we're going to activate this site. This will replace the existing site that the customers are seeing. And here, they would put in their username and password, or if they're a new customer, there is a link that says sign up today. So we're going to say we put in our username and we put in our password. This would be the next screen that a customers would be seeing. And this is the validation. So it's going to be a code that's going to be sent to their email. They would retrieve this code, put it in the verification box there, and click the blue box for verify. And that would bring them to the next screen, which is the actual new dashboard. So this is the new dashboard that we're going live with Monday. There's a few things I would like to call out on this dashboard. What you can see at the top are the tabs. So you can view your bills, you can view payments, set up auto pay. The important tab here would be My Profile. That's where customers can go in and they can configure their cell phone, they can configure their notifications. So that's a pretty important tab. It's also located on the right hand side of your screen. Well, right up front, you can see the amount due. You can view the bill and you can pay the bill from the view screen. You can also click pay, and that brings you directly into where you would see your method of pay, the ACH that is saved to the account. Remember, this is only with checking, but if you do want to pay with credit card, that link right underneath that blue box that says pay, it says click here to pay by credit card, fees apply. So you click that and the amount that you see on your dashboard will carry through to the screen. So you don't need to put that in again. The lower boxes on the screen, you can see account activity. So when we're loading bills, you'll see that the bill is loaded. When you're making payment, it's just a quick snapshot of some of the activity that's occurring on the account. And then billing services, you can see that your account is active for paperless. You can also see that this account specifically is turned on for auto pay. But this is the new dashboard. So like I said before, under My Profile is where you could set up notifications. A lot of effort went into the emails that we're going to be sending to customers based on what they toggle. And it's email and text message. So once you configure your phone, you do have the option to receive text messages for payment confirmations. Also when a new bill arrives. Kelly mentioned before a PDF of copy of your bill. That would be right underneath the new bill notification. You click configure, it's a small checkbox. If you would like that, you would receive a PDF copy. Maybe you don't want a PDF, you can just click email. You'll still get an email from us explaining the amount due. So there's different ways you can set up your account. And another important piece here, there's another tab for notifications. What you see on your screen here, this is just billing and payment. To the right, you see auto pay. So you can also, if your account is on auto pay, you can set up email or text messages depending on how you would like to set up your account. Moving directly into MDC Pay, this is our application. So it's going to have very similar look and feel to your online dashboard, but this is something that you download to your tablet, to your smartphone. As you can see to the left-hand side, this is where you would put in your username and password if you're an existing customer online. If you're a new customer, you can click under help and options, and then it would say first time user. You click that and you just put in your billing zip code and account number. So the dashboard that you can see, there's a few call outs here. You have the auto pay that shows when it's turned on, you can make a payment. There is also a nice bill compare at the lower end of your screen. Very similar to what other utilities do. It's just basically a snapshot of your account. Like I said, we're going to go live on Monday with the new web-based portal. Shortly to follow after, you'll have this available as well. Moving on, there's a few more screens here I want to kind of just show everybody. So you can, obviously pay your bill, you can set up auto pay, you can set up notifications, everything that you can do online on the web-based, you can do with these two applications. So you can see here, billing history, payment history, it's all in the app as well. So we're very excited about this app. I'm very happy to be part of this process. And we're excited and happy for our customers to see the new dashboard and see that these applications are available for download.
So I'm going to keep this going quickly because I know it's been a long meeting so far. Just to let you know, we've been very intent on training our customer service reps, Patrick, and actually one of our interns, my intern in the CAO office is a marketing major and helped with job aids and setting up so that the customer service reps can walk customers through resetting, any issues that they might have that they might call for. So we've done specific training. Patrick sat with every customer service rep and actually trained through the system. So we spent a lot of time training. We spent a lot of time, I spoke earlier, with integrated testing throughout the system to make sure it's set. All those email messages that you can turn on and the SMS messages, our staff worked with Kubra, but actually did it ourselves with our communications department and actually wrote all of the email messages and the email blasts that can go out. You've hopefully seen advertising on our bills saying coming soon, the new portal and the new features. So we've done a lot of internal planning for communications for this and our outreach strategies. Again, we've had a May and July bill insert. See the need to know, we're using that throughout. So we've sent need to know information in this last July bill insert, and it's also on our website, telling customers what they need to know about the portal and logging in for the first time. Pop-up messaging on Kubra, so anybody that logs in today is going to find a pop-up message explaining that we have a new portal coming online and what they may need to know about that. We're also updating our website and social media with all the new links and FAQs. Frequently asked questions will be on our website, as well as there will be a ticker across the website explaining that we will be down starting Saturday evening at 10 p.m. And until Monday morning. That's part of our cutover plan. This is the last slide. We're going to be bringing our portal offline Saturday evening because we have to bring one portal down. Kubra has to transfer and migrate all of our customer data into the new portal because everything our customers have today is going into the new portal so that when they do log into our new system, all of their information will be there. And we're going to test on Sunday to make sure that happens behind the scenes before we turn it on for our customers. So everybody's account should be up and running. The history should be there. And that's the plan for the migration of the data. So we will have on our website starting tomorrow. I don't know if Nick's still here, but starting tomorrow, we'll have that running on our website just to let people know they won't be able to make a payment in our portal starting Saturday evening until Monday morning. However, they can always go into Easy Pay and make a payment if they need to. I think I've covered about everything. And the mobile app, again, will be available shortly thereafter, and we will post that information as well. So long story short, we're very happy, on time, on budget, no changes, and all due to the great work of Patrick, who put so much effort into making this happen. First project he's ever managed as a business systems analyst. He did come from our customer service department where he was a customer service rep. So he was passionate about this. He knows what it's like to be a customer service rep and supporting our customers with all the issues with the current payment portal, and therefore was passionate about getting this done. So I want to personally thank him and all the effort of his that's gone into this labor of love for him. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Patrick. Stand up again. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Mr. Bush?
I actually do have a question, but I do want to say that I've been a part of developing websites and in the past for other companies, and the final product that was described to me and allowed me to test drive is just a really quality product. It's user-friendly, it's aesthetically pleasing, it's diametrically opposed to the current system. The Cooper system that exists now is cumbersome, awkward, difficult to use. It's frustrating, it's slow, it's annoying.
Don't hesitate. Tell us what you really think.
And I'm really looking forward to the upgrade. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you on it. And you really should be proud of yourself. You did an amazing job. Amazing job. Yeah. And I do just have a quick question. You'd mentioned that the system is going to be down for 24 hours, plus or minus or whatever. What would happen if somebody had an auto payment that was scheduled to be delivered during that time that it was down?
The auto pay will remain scheduled. It will still process, and the plan would be we're still going to pick up the remittance file on Monday. It's business as usual. So there is no impact to any of our existing interfaces, meaning we're still going to send bills on Friday, and Cooper's going to be able to pick that up. It's all incorporated in the cutover strategy, and we were promised there's going to be no impact with any sort of scheduled payments. Everything's going to migrate over in terms of accounts and specifically auto pay, because a high majority of our customers, because part of this project, we had to look at a lot of those numbers. There are a lot of customers that are on auto pay. So they may not even go into the account to see that it's a new account, right? But everything's going to transfer through payment methods, everything. So that was the promise, and we're going to hold them to that.
Thank you.
And we have plenty of reports coming out of SAP and Kubra to check on those things. And we will be checking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to make sure.
Commissioner Torini, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know they were talking about, potentially getting rid of the paper statements and stuff like that. I do auto pay on a couple other bills that I use. Are we offering any of our customers discounts for setting up like auto pay and going to paperless billing?
I would like to bring that to the board at some point. I would like to be able to, as being responsible for the billing side of the house, I would like to have that as something we talk about. I know there's been mention of charging for a paper bill. I know that it costs us over $1 to send a paper bill, and I also know that we send 70 to 75% of our customers paper bills. And I also know that 70% of our customers pay electronically. So we not only pay the cost of mailing the bill and sending the bill through Kubra, but we also pay an electronic fee, not only through Kubra if Kubra processes the payment, but we also pay an electronic processing fee if the bank, JP Morgan Chase, processes that payment through our electronic lockbox. It's much smaller fee electronically, but it's still a fee.
Chris, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move on now to number 14, Strategic Planning Committee consideration, potential action, retaining Arcadius to support effective utility management self-assessment process.
Move adoption.
Chair will recognize Commissioner Gentile.
The Strategic Planning Committee met in a special meeting last week and unanimously approved a very similar resolution to permit the engagement of Arcadis for this purpose. So I move that this board consider adopting the resolution that was included in our materials.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Gardo. What is this?
Mr. Gentile?
Okay, so The Strategic Planning Committee is building a new strategic plan that will align with the industry endorsed standard framework. That framework requires, before you put pen to paper to start your future plan, you need to conduct a self-assessment of where you are today. So you then have a benchmark to look back and measure, is the plan working to improve, or is it not hitting the mark in terms of what our objectives are? The framework self-assessment is a very specific process. They ask every utility to evaluate 10 specific attributes that are recognized as the hallmarks of an effective utility in a very specific way. So you have to identify processes, procedures, controls in place, and then give yourself a grade about where you think we are today. Arcadis is a Connecticut-based consultant that we already have a master service agreement with. They not only are familiar with the EUM framework that the industry has been using for over a decade, but they're also familiar with the district. So they are willing to help us facilitate the conclusion of that first step so we can actually start the planning for the future.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Follow-up?
Follow-up. I've been here for 8 years. Is there a strategic plan, or have we dusted it off? Have we, I mean, I don't know what the value of this is. And I don't want to create a big, discussion on this, but and maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I think I come to most meetings.
If I may.
Would you like to address that, or would you like Scott to?
Yeah, if I may. Commissioner, so as you know, the reason why we brought this to the board, to strategic plan and to the board, was because in our strategic plan meetings, the MDC staff, along with the chairwoman, we recommended that we do this first step, this self-assessment, which is a AWWA standard of utilities to measure what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Are you doing something or not doing anything at all? And as we know, our strategic plan is almost 20 years old. So we said, staff, I said that we were going to do this self-assessment ourselves. It's a very intense gathering of data and putting a report together for the strategic planning committee. With everything we have going on, I asked the chairwoman if she would consider allowing us to bring a consultant off our on-call that could help us get and gather this data. So it's really like we're hiring a project manager to help us that's done this before. And Arcadis has a group that does specifically these tasks. So the plan is for the consultant to help us gather the data, put it together in a format that meets the criteria of the standard. And then that will be one of the first steps in finalizing, it's not the step, but one of the steps in finalizing a new strategic plan. And then the strategic plan, once approved by the board, will be used as part of the management study that we've been talking about as well at PP&I. So this consultant is really just to help us. As I mentioned, we spent 1,500 hours, man-woman hours in the climate survey. We've got a lot going on. We're in the middle of construction. We need some help and assistance, especially from a consultant that's done this before.
If I could just build on that. The biggest benefit of building our strategic plan using the same framework that our peer companies use is it allows us to benchmark our performance, not like in a bubble, but with real access to data that is apples to apples comparison. So if you were interested in the existing strategic plan, it is not only old, but it doesn't have any specificity or any elements requiring us to gather data on an ongoing basis and keep it current by continuously evaluating, oh, if we're just moving forward with the same objective we had 20 years ago, we would not be doing cybersecurity. So those are some of the, I think, big benefits.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I was the chairman of the Strategic Planning Commission in Weathersfield 20 years ago. And we spent a lot of time, we interviewed folks, there were, I think, 5 of us on the committee. We presented our stuff, town council, the town council took it. They hired a new town manager who says, we don't need this. That's what the town council's for. All right. That's what this board of directors is for, you know, this board of commissions. So I spent a lot of time on that, and it was wasted time. And I feel as though we're going to be wasting $60,000 on this because we have our ordinance and bylaws and such, you know, things like cybersecurity. Those are industry things. I know I have to deal with it in aerospace, even for systems that don't have an Ethernet port on it. It's you know, we're told to do stuff and there's no value. That's what the Board of Commissioners is supposed to do is to set the tone. And I'm going to vote against this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes. So Commissioner, I agree with you 100% in the terms of, if you look at our old strategic plan, it's really doesn't have any specificity at all. This is completely different, right? We're actually looking to look at every department we talk about a management plan, right? We're going to do a management plan for $500,000-$600,000. You're going to analyze what? So this strategic plan, this component of the strategic plan is actually going to measure and give us a grade by department of what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And the one thing that I would ask for the strategic plan is to give us direction, because it sets my goals, my priorities, my schedule, my budget on what we're going to focus on. When we have a board with 33 commissioners and every week, month, year, we have let's look at this, let's look at that. Versus if I have a strategic plan that my job is to follow the strategic plan. I have a roadmap as to what I budget for staffing. We've had a lot of conversations. Do we have enough staff? Should we be doing our own water main work? Should we be hiring contractors to do their work? All of that stuff will be built into this assessment. And then once we finalize it, we can say, okay, we've decided as a board, we're only going to do water mains with contractors and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Then I know I'm heading down the path of debt service for 12 miles of water main a year. Or, nope, we're going to do it with MDC staff. Okay, then I have to hire more staff. Well, let's analyze. So it really gives us, I don't know how many times we analyze the staff, analyzes things over and over, year after year, because chairman of committees change and it takes a lot of time and energy to do these analysis of things, you know, and so the strategic plan, if done correctly, will actually be our Bible of what we do here at the MDC and what the mandate is. Scott Jellison, is staff complying with the strategic plan that the board decided is the administration's priority? And we don't have that right now. We're chasing a lot of different things, which takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of focus off of the things we should be focused on.
Any other question?
Who else have they done this for? Utilities?
I don't know. I have not spoken with.
You know?
Yeah, Chris, do we have a list of, yeah, Arcadis, we work with Arcadis a lot, obviously on the sewer design and, this, plant work design. They have a group out of Philadelphia, Chris? Philadelphia, and this group specifically, does these self-assessments under the AWD.
So if these guys came back in 6 months and said, we should be subbing out 3/4 of our work versus keep it in, that's something we would follow?
No, it's just that I use it as an example. I mean, the point is,
That's a big example, I'm just saying.
well, it's a good example, right? But,
Yeah.
but it's been a conversation that has been brought up at this level a number of times. So the question is, what do we want to do? Do we want to do that or don't we? And we're going to analyze it and we're going to see what we do and how we do it. And it's just one piece, you know, I mean, customer service is another example. How long are our phone calls? You know, all those metrics associated with customer service. What are we doing? Are we doing right? What are we doing wrong?
As CEO, you think we should be doing this?
I do. Yes, I really do. It'll be a stepping stone so that when we do a management study, you have real data to analyze. And to the chairwoman's point, you're not just comparing. I say all the time, we're the best utility in the world, and I believe we are. But this information is going to prove it. And we're going to compare ourselves with Connecticut Water, Regional Water, all of the other utilities in the region to show how well of work we're doing with our staff.
Any other questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So could this be used to say we do not need a management study that would cost $500,000?
Yeah, I would say, Commissioner, it's going to give you a lot of information, and I think it's going to be very important. If I'm correct, and I say that the MDC is the best utility I'd say in the United States, but in the region, you can decide that. But you're going to have real data comparing us with what we do versus what others do. You know, I mean, we talk about debt service, and I know we've talked about, debt service is growing, and it is growing larger because our budget hasn't grown, right? We can solve the budget percentage of debt service to the budget by let's just raise the budget by $20 million, and then the percentage of debt service will drop. That doesn't make any sense. So we're doing more with less, and we're doing more. In my presentation on the management study that was done in 2003, we compared ourselves to 2003. In 2003, there was less than $5 million a year spent on capital improvements, and we had 700 employees. Now we have 471, and we're doing $200 million a year. And yes, our debt service has grown dramatically, but our budget, we've had 0% increase in our ad valorem in 4 years in a row. And based on Kelly's presentation in the audit, we got $5.48 million. It's not by accident, right? These numbers aren't coming in by accident. These are a lot of time and energy by staff trying to make sure we're doing the right thing, and we're being as efficient as we can be. And now we got $5.5 million this coming year for 2026 that the board and the Board of Finance can choose to lower ad valorem to zero or do something else with it. But this is not by accident. This is a lot of hard work by the people behind you. And I think that this study will show this committee, this board, that here's how we rank amongst the utilities in New England and across the country.
Any further questions? The only thing I would add is that it's a tool in the toolbox, but for the first time, MDC has the opportunity to have what I would say is a real strategic plan, a plan that will set a blueprint in what I hope, just like the climate study will and has, that every 5 years, we would go back, do another climate study, and take another look at the strategic plan and tweak it where needed. Not this whole process to develop this, what I would say is the first strategic plan, but as a blueprint to move forward every 5 years so that we have those benchmarks and we have those tools to find out if in fact MDC is as good as we believe it is. And I think it's important that we move forward and approve this. So any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. And I would like to thank Chairman Gentile and Vice Chair Stuber for coordinating. And I have to say, it's taking a lot longer than I had hoped, but I had no idea how complex the process is for developing a real strategic plan. So thank you. Okay, move on to 15, Bureau of Public Works, consideration potential action. A, encroachment agreement, Connecticut DOT, 280 West Street, Rocky Hill. Chair recognizes Chair Hoffman for a motion.
Forward the remaining two pieces. Item 15, item A and item C. And so I'm happy to report that the Bureau of Public Works met last Monday and had a very respectful and productive meeting, taking care of all the business on the agenda.
Okay, with your permission,
I'll second it.
With your permission, Chairman Hoffman, I think item A and item C are so different from each other. I think we need to take them separately, if you're okay with that. So the
I'll
motion.
withdraw my seconds, only the first one.
The seconder doesn't have to withdraw. So the motion on the floor is just to approve A, encroachment agreement. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Now to item C, Bushnell South Development pending claims related to Marriott Hotel sewer assessment and Buckingham Street garage discharge fees. Possible executive session. Chris, do we need an executive session?
Yes, it involves two claims that we need to discuss, so
Very good, thank
please,
you.
yes.
So Chair will entertain a motion for executive session.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And who remains, Chris?
Chris, Kelly, myself, Scott Jellison, John and John, and John Myrtle, who is part of this as well.
All right, this is John Myrtle. Commissioners that are online, I'm gonna move you into a breakout session again. It should give you a prompt that you need to accept in order to be moved into the separate breakout room.
Kelly, yeah, Jamie, you guys can go. You guys can head home. Okay. Jonathan,
Thank you.
thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jonathan. Looking forward to seeing you at the end of the month.
See you in a month.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Mommy.
Remember when we had a couple months ago, it was 9 minutes long.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry now. Moonlight.
There you go.
Sorry, here's Ellen.
Somebody to Steve.
Yeah, half of them maybe.
Takes care of
Issue.
And Hudson is
Capital.
over here.
Hudson's here.
Cloudy.
And it'll take care of West Street. That's right here. So it'll take. care
Nah,
of West
are you
Street.
kidding? You know how many people are on the river in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
People fishing.
Turning it into apartments. Condos, so both of those. Both of those
All right, we're back in
secretaries.
regular session. Is there a motion to go back into regular session?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair recommends, Chair recommends that a motion be made to approve.
So moved.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
You're asking for a motion to move the adoption of the resolution that's in front of us?
That's exactly what James said.
Let's see. And I second it.
All right. Chris?
Thank you. If I might, Chris Stone, just for the record, it was discussed in executive session briefly, but are referred to. The resolution's the resolution, the term sheet's the term sheet. We're going to add a reference to the Attorney General's office as the signatory on behalf of the state of Connecticut. That's not a substantive change to the document, so we're okay. And then the Exhibit A is described in the resolution, but we're going to actually attach that Exhibit A as part of the resolution. So with that, those two little nits, we can move.
Further discussion? Mr. Gale?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I heard this presentation at the Public Works meeting. And it made sense there. The question was raised there about the concern as to the settlement of the Buckingham Street garage being used against us on the landfill. I want to compliment our council for drafting this MOU and closing the loop on that particular question. And I think this otherwise incorporates everything that we discussed at Public Works and adds that protection that when the AG signs, hopefully, that this is not going to be used against us in other litigation.
Agreed.
Fully
It's not
support.
Precedent setting. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Down to number 16, referral of Public Act 25-11 to General Policy Planning Committee. So move. Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Opportunity for general public comments. Is there anyone that has lasted this long?
There's no public.
Hearing none, seeing none. Commissioner request for consideration of future agenda items. Commissioner Bush.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring up the fact that,
No, do you have a request for consideration for a future agenda item?
yes,
And it is.
to address the disuse of Lake McDonough as a recreational facility. That it needs to be, it's being not used at all. It's abandoned. And I would like to try to make some effort to provide that facility for public use going forward.
We will put that on the list for consideration. Any other requests for future consideration of agenda items? If none, we've completed the agenda. Meeting adjourned.
Yes.
Nice. All right.